Strange and the spooky, adventurous and loony, they're all together ooky, the Bud family. Their trips are amazing when people come to see 'em. They really are amazing, the Bud family. History, ghost, art. So put on a witch's shawl on, a seat so you can relax on. We're gonna play a call on the Bud family.
I'd rather be. Welcome to the Old Fort Meade Museum and our Twilight Tours. I'll guide you around. We've got different people posted around the parade ground that will be telling you the stories of some people that have a connection to Fort Meade or the surrounding area. As we're going along, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask them. I will give you an answer. I'll leave it up to you to determine whether it's a true answer or not. So with that, let's get started to the first stop. I'm a cavalry soldier. We never marched anywhere.
Were the other ones that we did lightning? I don't remember them being termed as lantern tours, but they might have been. But it seems like it's all outdoors again. Sadness. Hello, peoples. Guess what? It's 1 week before our renewal, and we're getting all the pieces together. I'm a little sad because I ordered a pair of shoes that didn't fit, and I ordered a dress that didn't fit. So I'm going to be working on that in the next year to try to get down a little bit. I have been working on it, but not as hard as I guess I should be or could be. And so hopefully that's a thing that will change. We'll see. Losing weight's not easy, and it is something I've been working on, but apparently I need to work a little harder, so we'll work on that. Joe's ring and uniform should be coming in this week. Ring today, and uniform sometime this week. Before all that, we've got a video for you. Alright, we'll just try this again. Alright, here we go. It's Bobby. There's Steve. Duo. Judy. Consume. Brad. There's Redhead. Sandra. Strong Mind. There's Betty. There's who is that? Stock, I think. Popcorn. 5 Can. Nacho Daily. There's Stats, there's Driving, there's Face, 6 Bows, A Space, K-Pina, We Go, let's see, who else, There's Tusha, there's Walter, there's Raven, oh wow, Raven's in the lead, Rowdy's coming up in the back, there's Stony, and Consciousness, I said. Strong Mind, looks like it's going to be Strong Mind. Hold on a minute. Alright, this is Stitching Up, which used to be a jewelry account, as you can see. From her shorts, mostly. Actually, doesn't show very much jewelry anymore, but she's kind of a hangout place. I catch a lot of her lives, as you can see, where you can hang out, chat, and interact and just chill. She does display jewelry, so I don't know if that jewelry is for sale or if it's just, something for background while people hang out for hours. So if you're looking for a place to hang out, check her out, like, share, comment, and enjoy a lantern tour, which has lanterns, but it's not dark enough for them to be lit, so enjoy.
company. It's been a while since I've been at Fort Meade. Let me introduce myself. Where are my manners? My name is Marie Otis Cabell, daughter of the commander here at Fort Meade, and proud Army or Lieutenant wife, DeRosa Cabell. DeRosa and I got married at Fort Davis, Texas. Seemed like it was yesterday. I can still smell the orange blossoms, the bells ringing. Oh, DeRosa, he looked so good in his dress uniform. You should have seen him. It was the perfect day, the best day. It still seems like only yesterday. I can still hear the bells ringing. Oh, we got orders down to come to Fort Meade. Oh, it was a perfect day, and we discovered that we were with child. DeRosa was part of the 8th Cavalry that came to Fort Meade with the longest mounted march in Army history. Nearly 1,700 miles from Texas, and little old me. But unfortunately, due to my condition, I was not able to go with him. So he left without me. But I was stubborn. I decided that I would go. I took the railroad as far as Fort Pierre and overland from there. What a long journey. It took forever. But thankfully, we made it to Sturgis City and the comfort of my husband and our new home. But unfortunately, the journey had taken its toll on me. My body, my pregnancy, and unfortunately, my delivery. On November 13th, 1888, we gave birth to a beautiful baby girl who we named Marie Otis Cabell. She was such a sight to see. You should see her. She is absolutely beautiful. But unfortunately, my body just couldn't take it. My last week here at Fort Meade, my faith did much to sustain me. My husband did everything he could to comfort me. My last day here at Fort Meade, not my will, but thine be done. I closed my eyes with a tear going down my cheek, and all I could say was, my poor baby, my poor husband. November 20th, 1888, I passed away. I am buried up at Fort Meade Cemetery. I have the only cross headstone. Our time is all too short, but I am reminded daily to be thankful for those we have in our lives. So I encourage you to be thankful of those you have in yours. Thank you so much. Have a blessed night and enjoy the rest.
Car driving by just provided perfect opportunity for me to stop and give you just a little tidbit of history of Fort Meade. The last presenter talked about being related to the commander of the post. The house right here in front of us, right there, was the post commander's house. Directly across the parade ground from the museum. And it was the biggest house on the fort, and probably the only house that one family lived in. Would have been the commander and his family that lived in there. She mentioned she passed away in 1888. Her husband was in the 8th Cavalry. The 8th Cavalry came here in 1888 to replace the 7th Cavalry that was here starting in 1878 to help build the uniform. We'll cross the street. Woo! What do you think? Nice.
Thank you. You bet.
Yes. Yeah, well, actually, the outside stone is a 1930s project. Part of the WPA that works with the Progress Administration. Roosevelt's plans, the Depression.
So when were these majority built? Late 18,
Well,
early 1900s?
These houses along here actually are from 1878, 1879, 1880. Number 21 is the one that Marcus Reno lived in. Oh. If you're familiar with the story of Marcus Reno and his Peeping Tom escapades.
You said the stone was new. Were they stone before?
No, they were wooden.
I heard rumors that POWs from Germany were out
Yes,
there?
yes. Yeah, if you take the road up to the cemetery called War Soldier Road, if you look off to the left as you're going up, you can see some foundations and some chimneys. That was the CCC camp originally, and that's what they converted into the POW camp.
Is it near the stables that are back up in there?
No,
too?
no, they're far.
That's
It's
further in.
much
This
closer.
is
It's much
this
closer.
way?
Yeah, yeah. It's just as you go up to it, there's a little bit of a little valley right before you even start climbing up.
On the right or left hand
It's
side?
on the left-hand side.
There's a baseball field over there too. You'll see the baseball field and right down.
What was the population of the POWs, German POWs that were brought here from Europe?
Yeah, they were brought. I don't know what the population is. Well, the reason I stopped here, two things I wanted to point out because of our last presenter. He said he was part of the Quartermaster Corps. Okay, that long white building that you see over there was the original Quartermaster warehouse. It was one of the first buildings that was built in 1878 when Fort Meade was established. It's the oldest building still standing here on the post. And somebody asked about civilian employees here. When they did the building, all the buildings that you see, the houses, the barracks, the museum, were all, the Army went through about 1905 in all the forts and updated the buildings, built new buildings and everything. Here at Fort Meade, they brought in outside contractors to do all that work. But what I want to point out is the flagpole there was designed by a lieutenant in the Army that was stationed here, but there was a local builder that was the one that built it. A fellow by the name of William Grahams. That had the Grahams sawmill in town. So,
It's a very odd flagpole.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it might be from a ship.
yeah, no,
That's right.
it's not. We actually have in the museum in our archives, we discovered we have the drawings, the original drawings of that. I think he was with the 6th Cavalry, but I'm not sure. I remember his name. I don't remember what unit he was with.
Cool.
Well, my name is Miss Annie Franklin. I am a proud employee of the United States Army, which means I'm a laundress. It's basically the only job we can get. I came here to see the West. I saw Dakota. That's about it. I washed all the clothes, well, me and the other laundresses, for Fort Meade. Our days were long and hard, but I got paid $19 a month, plus food and quarters to stay in. It wasn't more than a shack, but it was all right. And if I did a really good job, I could talk some of the officers into paying me an extra $5 a month. Best money I ever made. So I'll tell you about my days. We'd get up at dawn and we'd go down to Bear Butte Creek. That's where our shacks were. And we would fill up with water and take them up to the big kettles. We had 3, one for washing, one for rinsing, and another one for rinsing. We'd start with 4 of the officers' fancy items. And then as we worked our way through, for 19 men, by the way, and they were a bit stinky. As we'd work our way through, we'd end up with the soldier's blues. So we would wash with soap, usually a lye soap, which is made out of animal fat, tallow, and lye. Not good for the complexion. My hands would burn and crack for days. But I could keep some of the animal fat stored away from my hands. We would wash, rinse, and then we would all have to hand wring them out, hang them to dry, and then we had to iron and press them, do any of the mending that needed to be done, and there was always a lot that needed to be done. But I did acquire quite the set of arms. My irons were as much as 18 pounds. It was hot. In the winter, we had to go out and break ice on the creek so we would have the water and start the process all again. But it wasn't always bad. Once in a while, we'd get to have a dance. Some of the men would all get together with their instruments. Well, you remember, right? They would play their instruments. We would dance and laugh. And if they got too fresh, well, we just put them in their place because most of us could outweigh them or outlift them anyways. I was here in 1880. In 1881, I was no longer employed. I found my way to peaceful sleep. But I find I'm still waiting for soldiers to come with the laundry. So if you see any, tell them I'm here. I always got a time to do a soldier's nice dress blues. Well, thank you.
You said your last name was Franklin?
Franklin, yes.
Do you have anything to do with Franklin Hotel in Deadwood?
No.
Really?
Not my
relative or
people. Nope.
You buried up here too, or?
Oh yeah. I just come down for the air.
How'd you heat your irons up?
Fire.
Fire?
Yep.
How many other women?
It would depend. 3 to 5.
So what'd you die of?
My heart stopped. I don't know.
They didn't do autopsies back then, did they?
One day I was alive and fine, and the next day I was up there.
They're still investigating it.
On Unsolved Mysteries.
Just like we don't know really how old I was. And I've
Where are you
already
from?
forgotten where I was from.
Oh, you forgot where you were from?
It was from the east. But I lived quite a life.
How old were you?
I was young. We don't really know.
Oh, that's right, you said that.
But I guess, you're only as young as you feel.
After lifting 18 pounds, you probably felt young.
Paid before the soldiers did. Soldiers, a private like myself, was $13 a month. And I would, my pay, when it came payday, what taken out of my pay before I got it was what went to the laundress. So if she had done a lot of work for me, I didn't get much pay. And if you, the past couple of summers, if you've driven by and seen where they've done the archaeological excavation across the highway from Fort Meade, that's where the laundresses were living. They had cabins over there where they lived. They were allowed to be married to soldiers if the soldier had gotten permission. If they were a sergeant, it was pretty much guaranteed. Plus, you add your pay to what she got paid, and if you were a private, you could actually live with her. You didn't have to live in the barracks with 100 other guys. So it was much better. She lived over there with any children that she had, or if she was single. On a frontier post like this in 1880, they didn't stay single very long. When you have a ratio of 600 or 700 men to 20 laundresses.
You do much partying?
What?
Yeah, they talked about that, the archaeological dig we went on earlier this year.
Yeah, we got a thing in, was it May?
I think it was May.
We talked about
I'd have to look at it. But May sounds about right.
My name is Lee Grimes. Hi, folks.
Hi.
They call me Lee Grimes. Well, you're a good-looking bunch here. Yeah, good-looking bunch. Looks like you probably got a fat billfold and some pocket watches too. Well, you wasted enough of my time taking 45 minutes to get around here, so I'll get started. You folks, some of you folks want to sit on these steps and you can turn around. It's up to you. No, I'm serious. No, okay. I just want to make sure you're comfortable. You all right?
I'm fine.
All right. All right. So, I'll tell you about my story. Name's Lee Grimes, or William Lee Grimes, but a lot of people know me as Curly Grimes, okay? I'm known to be a famous outlaw, or infamous outlaw, horse thief, robber, right? These are all rumors. Some of it's fact, some of it's fiction, but I'll let you decide that. So they say I came here from Texas in 1877 to the Black Hills. And not long after that, I was accused of robbing a post office down in Nebraska. But again, these are rumors. Don't believe what you read in the newspaper. So about February of 1890, I was riding stagecoaches down at the Sydney stage area, and I got caught up by two infamous guys you may have heard of, W.H.H. Llewellyn and the infamous D. Boone May. Boone May was known for protecting stages running from Deadwood to Sydney and Chadron and Yankton and all these places. And H.H. Llewellyn was an infamous Indian agent, okay, at the time. So I was on the run. They finally caught up to me. They say about 2 miles down Elk Creek. Down, I guess it'd be that way. They caught me, and it was February of 1890. We're in the middle of a blizzard, and I'm on horseback with these fellas with my shackles on. And if you know South Dakota in February, my hands are getting mighty cold. So we were over at the time, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of modern history, but and some history from back then. At the time, the road to Deadwood from Rapid City and from down south was up to where Interstate 90 is today. And the cutoff to go to Fort Meade or to Deadwood was over at the old Stone Road, over by across the street from the National Cemetery, across the interstate, okay? So we had to make the turn onto Fort Meade so we could return the horses, because at the time, the horses couldn't make it all the way across the state, so they had stage stops along the way that they would trade out horses and get some rest and food sometimes and stay the night. So as we made that turn, I begged these guys, please release me from these shackles, because my hands were freezing to the shackles. So they finally relented and released me so I could warm my hands. Not soon after, I bucked the horse and I took off. Get away from these guys. It was my only chance, so I wouldn't stand trial at Deadwood. So I heard a couple gunshots. Next thing I know, I'm standing here in front of you folks. But they say I fell where I laid, right flat on my face. They looked at me. It was -20. They put my hat on my head and they rode the rest of the way to Fort Meade, to the headquarters building where he started this tour. And they had to report. At the time, the Fort Meade reservation was 6 by 3 miles. And so at the border of I-90 was one of the edges of the Fort Meade reservation, which is now BLM land. But so they reported the crime. They rode the rest of the way to Deadwood, and the newspapers held these two fellows as heroes. But the locals weren't happy with this murder. So they were up in arms and they wanted these two fellows charged with murder. So in August of 1890, a few months later, they were charged with murder. They had with a $10,000 bounty on their head, which was a lot of money back then. However, they had the support of a lot of the locals and the benefactors like Saul Starr and Seth Bullock, who backed these gentlemen and offered to pay their bounty or their warrants. So they had a trial and they were immediately found unanimously not guilty. Afterwards, W.H.H. Llewellyn went down years later down to New Mexico, and it actually ended up being one of the Rough Riders, Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders. Well, Boone May, he was accused of killing an army officer down south and went all the way down to South America where he met up with some senoritas and died of yellow fever some years later. Today, you could find my grave. First headstone, some rascal stole it. It was eventually recovered and you could find it today, incorrectly dated with 1879 date of death. It's at the Adams Museum in Deadwood. Some nice benefactor in 1979 replaced my headstone where it is today. If you look on your Google machines, you can find my grave by just putting Curly Grimes' grave. And it's right off the Old Stone Road, maybe 100 feet.
Yep.
And,
Right there.
yeah. Anybody got any questions? Next.
Did they move your body?
Anyway, they did exhume my body. The army came. That's a great question. The army came after the two fellows reported it. They came down. They inspected my body. Or, I take that back. Boone May and Llewellyn gave me a shallow grave. The army came, the coroner, they exhumed my body from the shallow grave, examined it, and said, yep, he's dead. He falls in as a rock. And then they gave me another burial. They put a little inscription on my grave where it is today. But I gotta look at the notes here. Buried with his head down, just as he fell. The whispering pines will never tell. So, well, you wasted enough of my time. Take the watches.
You gotta watch it.
Make your way back to the. Well, you gotta drive here. Don't let him get. I don't like them army guys. They wouldn't let me join the army.